Schedule builders, it's time to look a little bit closer at constraints. When you come into PowerScheduler, on the left-hand side, we can see constraints. Constraints, as I have mentioned before, are anything that puts a restriction on what the schedule engine can do. Now, this constraints section is not the only place you can put in constraints. For instance, you have the constraint I'm going to look at in this video is pre-schedule constraints. If I click on this, this allows me to pre-schedule a course to a specific hour. Let's say you're going to do band, right? And band at the high school is always first hour, and that's what it is. It's what it's going to be. You don't actually have to do that in this section here. You can set up at the course level that the only valid start period for band is first hour, so you've already taken care of that. So think of constraints as, ways that you can set up the system to restrict it from doing something, but know that there are other ways to do build constraints other than in here. An example again is, and I'm going to make this up a little bit as well, but like teacher part-time, if the band teacher is only teaching band at your school and you've set the band up to only be able to meet first hour, you don't even need to mark the teacher part-time, because you already know the band teacher's only teaching band. That's going to be first hour. You don't have to worry about it. You set it up with one click at the course level. So that's something to think about. In other circumstances, when you do want to pre-schedule classes, because there's not only one teacher teaching it, or there's numerous sections, whatever the case might be, you can do that in this pre-schedule area. Okay. The first thing I would like to mention is there are certain courses that we pre-schedule at the high school level. You can work with me and my team, and we can give you some Excel files to enter into Excel the data necessary for us to import pre-scheduled things. We can do that for you, and we've done it before, so high schools are aware of that process. It is up to you at the school level to make sure that when we do the import that everything looks like it's correct, and to make sure you're giving us the correct file. And doing that for large pre-scheduled things is way better than doing them one at a time, because if you want to pre-schedule a class, you come and do it through the front end of PowerScheduler. You come to constraints, go to pre-schedule, then you're going to click on new, and you have to find, by clicking associate, you have to find the course that you want to pre-schedule. I'm just going to grab Avid. Then you have to say, well, is it going to be semester or a year? So you pick the year or semester, whichever is appropriate. Then you find the hour it's going to meet in, and since it's a 2-day cycle for us, we mark both boxes. Room is optional, but if you're pre-scheduling it, you probably want to go ahead and put it in the room you know it's going to be in. You'd click associate and find a room that it's going to be in. Obviously, again, you're pre-scheduling a class. You're usually doing that with a teacher, so you would find the teacher that you want to pre-schedule with. Section type, if this is a class that has a section type, you would put that in, and we don't use this team code for how we do this. Then you would come down here into the right corner. I guess I need to move my face. You come down here in this corner, and you'd hit submit, and it would pre-schedule this class. Don't worry, Liberty North, I will delete this in a minute. So now we can see we've got a course. That's the course number, that's its term, that's its period, that's its room, that's its teacher. If you give us an import file, and we import pre-scheduled things for you, and you come back into this pre-schedule constraint area to check it for accuracy, and I speak of this from past experience, if you look and all of a sudden you don't see something doesn't look right, like there's a course number here, but there's no course name, that means the course number that was in your file is incorrect, right? If there's no teacher, it means the teacher ID code that we gave you must have been incorrect. And it's going to ignore incorrect pre-scheduled items and let those classes build wherever, leading you to a problem. So anytime you have a department that does any pre-scheduling, you'll want them to check to make sure things landed where they're supposed to after, you know, in your build process. Once you start releasing that out to department chairs, you want them to go over it. And the incident I'm talking about, the department chair didn't even catch that there was an error until way late in the process, even though they had been asked to look at it numerous times. So anything pre-scheduled, that ups your ante on having those departments review that and make sure things landed where they were supposed to when you do that. If you need to delete a pre-scheduled constraint, you would click on the course name, and then you scroll down to the bottom. I have to move myself again. And then you would click delete, and then confirm delete, and that pre-scheduled class now goes away. So that's how you use pre-scheduled constraints. A word of caution, and I almost don't want to show you this, but I'm going to. A word of caution, what will get people in trouble. If they want to pre-schedule classes, sometimes, and you never want to do this, if you're pre-scheduling it before you're going to build, you know you're doing a build, and you're going to import that build to make it your master schedule. If you're going to do that, you do not come down here to sections and start adding sections of courses. If you do that, they will be overwritten when you do a build and then import that build. These will get wiped out, okay? You only come here after you're done building. You're not going to build anymore. Now you're just making hand changes. You only come to this section after you're done building, and you're just going to go make sections that you need that you find out after the fact. Okay? So that is a quick tutorial on, quick, it's over 6 minutes, on pre-scheduled constraints.